What is going on, everyone? My name is the California Cougar, and welcome back to another episode of the Survivor Season Series Reviews. Today, I talk about one of the later Survivor All-Star seasons. This is Survivor Game Changers. This is the 34th season of Survivor, and aside from Winners at War, Season 40, this is the most recent All-Star season, consisting entirely of returning players. Now, there was a lot of hype behind this season because, it was called Game Changers. It was said there would be a lot of game-changing moves, game-changing advantages and stuff. However, people hated this season, and for good reason. It's one of the most disappointing, if not just all-out bad seasons of Survivor. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was horrible from the casting choices. Oh, we'll talk about that. But yeah, the casting, so many of the moments, way too many advantages. We'll talk about that a little bit. And just the predictability overall of the season. A lot of these game-changing moments turned the season into a horrible season. That's just how it went. And I was vastly disappointed with this season. So let's talk about this cast. Okay, so the theme of this season is game changers, right? So you would think, game changers. Let's put some of the people that changed the game in there. Now, there are some people that did change the game. You could say Sierra Easton was one of them. Tony, I would definitely say, changed the game. JT, Sandra, you could say. Ozzy, in a way, you could say him. Who else? Sari, she was really good. However, for the most part, this cast is horrible. These are not game-changing players. These are just regular players. Some of these players were brought back for an entirely different reason. So let's go over the cast. So I talked about Sierra. You could say Sierra was a game changer. She voted out her mom. That's what she's known for. And, she wanted to make a lot of big moves in Survivor Cambodia. Didn't really work out for her. But, she's a good player, so I guess you could say she's a game changer. Tony, second person voted out of this season. He's definitely a game changer, I would say. Played the game kind of like how Russell Hantz did, except not quite in a way that made him super hated. A way that was a lot more respectable than what Russell did, I would say. Caleb Reynolds. Why was he on this season? Yeah, he deserves a second chance. He was medevaced in season 32. He had heat stroke and almost died out there, and he got evacuated for it. And he deserves a second chance because he went out so soon in Cougar. Then he comes back and he does absolutely nothing this season. He was disappointing. He was only brought back because he was medevaced. It had nothing to do with being a game changer. It was just, and then he came back and he did almost nothing this season. His relationship with Ty was still there, but Ty was part of the reason he was voted out so early this time. Malcolm. Okay, so Malcolm, I would say, was definitely a fun player to watch in Philippines and Caramoan. Game changer? Maybe. He was fun. He's super likable. He's one of my favorite players this season. The way he went out, though, this season, we'll get to that. It's one of my least favorite moments in Survivor history, if you ask me. JT, same thing, kind of happened to him. And you want to talk about one of the biggest falls from grace in Survivor history. JT. This guy goes from a perfect game in Survivor Token Chains. He was so likable. He never got a vote against him, even though he was in the minority alliance going into the merge. Some people wanted to get rid of him, but yet he never got a single vote against him. And then he sweeps the jury vote. That's how good he was in Token Chains. And then we all know about his heroes versus villains dumbass idol play that he did, where he gave his idol away to Russell and got voted out because of it at the merge. So yeah, we all know about that. But at least with that, his intentions were actually kind of smart, and it would have looked like a 500 IQ play if it had worked. Unfortunately, because nobody knew who Russell Hantz was in Heroes vs. Villains. At least none of the players knew really who he was because they didn't really watch Samoa. But yeah, none of them knew about him, knew how villainous he was, just that he was on the villains tribe. Of course, they were dumb enough to assume that he wouldn't do anything malicious with the idol, but he did. Like, yeah, JT didn't know what Russell was gonna do. Russell ended up kind of 500 IQing that with the whole women's alliance thing. He used that to his advantage. JT didn't know that. So, yes, it was a dumb move, but it would have looked like a huge, big brain 500 IQ play if it had actually worked the way JT intended it. In this game, I don't know what the hell he was doing. He had an idol. He knew he was on the outs with his tribe. He had to know that. And yet he leaves his idol at camp the night he goes home. How stupid can you be? To me, that's even worse than giving your idol to Russell. Because at least with that, we knew what JT's intentions were. He just didn't know who Russell was. This, I don't understand what the hell he was doing. So, yeah, biggest fall from grace for sure is JT. Sandra, I mean, yeah, they brought her back because she technically is a game changer. The problem is, I think she's one of the most overrated players ever. She didn't do anything in her 2 winning seasons that was super noteworthy, except be the least hated player. That's really all she did. So, yeah, I never really understood the whole thing with Sandra. I can see why they brought her back this season. I'm surprised she made it as far as she did this season. I guess because players wanted to keep her around because they knew she would have no chance of winning. But yeah, I mean, whatever. She was fine this season, I guess. Jeff Varner. Okay, so Jeff Varner, he is not a game changer. He was a guy that had potential, and then he got put on he got screwed over by a swap this season. Poor guy can't even make the jury. Although the way he went out this season, it's one of the most controversial moments in Survivor history. One of the most uncomfortable moments. And again, we'll get to that. Haley Ford. Why was she on this season? She did nothing in the Worlds Apart season. She didn't do anything. Why was she brought back? Why couldn't we have Joe back again? Or even Jen? Yeah, Jen didn't really do anything either, but she was a better player than Haley. At least Jen played an idol. Ozzy, yeah, okay, so he changed the way immunity challenges were. He won so many immunity challenges in his first 3 seasons, and he relied on that again this season, pretty much. Unfortunately, he got blindsided at Final 12, but whatever. Debbie, oh my god, they just had to bring this woman back, didn't they? They just had to do it. I'm sorry, I can't stand these good for TV characters. I absolutely can't stand them. Debbie is one of them, and she annoyed the hell out of me. Just like another made for good TV character that we'll talk about in a later season. But yeah, Debbie, she was just as annoying this season. Her whole Exile Island thing was cringe. So yeah, there's that. Zeke, not as good as he was in Millennials versus Gen X, I don't think. He was kind of disappointing this season. Made some good moves, but didn't really do much. Sierra Dawn Thomas, again, why was she on this season? I will say this about her, she definitely played a lot better this season than she did in Worlds Apart. She got the legacy advantage, and I feel like she used that to her advantage pretty well. Unfortunately, she was just a victim of a pretty predictable blindside, but I do think had she made it farther along this season, she could have definitely had an argument at the final tribal council if she had gone that far. So I wouldn't say she was quite like the Wentworth of this season, where Wentworth in Cambodia is what I'm referring to. Wentworth in Cambodia went to being this unknown player in San Juan del Sur to one of the best players that season. I wouldn't say Sierra Dawn Thomas reached that level, but she could have, I do think, had she not gotten blindsided. Andrea. I'm not sure what it is about the hype with Andrea. I was never a big Andrea fan. I mean, she was okay, I guess. Caramoan, she kind of turned me off a bit. I liked her in Redemption Island. I didn't really like her in Caramoan all that much. This season's kind of the same way. She's okay. Don't love her, though. Michaela Bradshaw. Okay, again, another player that I think deserves a second chance. Not a game changer. She was known for being super sassy, had that crazy salty exit in Millennials versus Gen X, being a fun character. Not a game-changing player, though. She was a good player, and she was a good player this season, but not a game-changing player. I would have liked to see her make it farther this season, though. I did enjoy her. Suri, finally an actual game changer that's on this season. Like, the woman who got up off the couch, played Survivor, got a lot of fans, and yeah, she was fun. She was good this season. She was very good this season. I definitely think had she not been royally screwed over, she would have made the final three and she would have won the game. I do think that's what would have happened. Unfortunately, she just got royally screwed over, and that's another moment we'll talk about. Aubrey. I mean, okay, I can see why they brought Aubrey back. I was never a fan of Aubrey. I always thought she was one of the more overrated players, and yeah, this season she's kind of a shell of her Cougar self. Like, she was more likable, I think, just not quite as good of a player. And the same thing can be said about Ty. Like, Ty, except I think Ty did a little bit better with the advantages this season. So, there is that. And then you got the final three. You got Troyzan. About time Troyzan got brought back. But again, he's not a game changer. Like, he's just the player that should have been brought back a while ago. Unfortunately, he was a huge disappointment this season. He did almost nothing. He found an idol, and that was pretty much it. Didn't really play. Just kind of rode the coattails of Brad Culpepper and Sarah Lucina, who we'll talk about in a second. Brad Culpepper, another guy that is not a game changer. Although, I will say, he was the most improved player this season. He won a ton of immunity challenges. He was a great player overall. I think he could have won for sure. I definitely think he had a real shot of winning. He was a great player, made good alliances, had good strategic plays. Really up until the end of the season when he decided to get rid of Aubrey and Ty instead of Sarah, who was, again, like, not really a game changer. Potential as a player, but yeah, not really a game changer. But she was good this season. She took advantage of every advantage she found. Like, we knew she was going to win. She played the middle pretty much the whole game. Like, she was always in the middle. She was the swing vote pretty much every time. And she used that to her advantage, and she won the game. She also got advantages when she needed to. So she played a great game this season, for sure. And I do think she deserved her win. With that out of the way, let's talk about some of the game-changing moments of this season. Oh boy. Oh my god. Okay, where do I begin? Let's start off with I believe it was episode 4 of the season, where the tribes had split from 2 to 3 tribes. I like the split from 2 to 3, by the way. I think it adds a lot to the game. People, like, there's one tribe that has to start from scratch, build a new shelter and all that. I like that. Unfortunately, we never really got to see much of the Tavua tribe because the Tavua tribe kept winning every challenge. So we never really got to see much from them. And Sarah was on that tribe, so yeah, like, we never really saw much from them. But the Mana and the Nuku tribes. Okay, so here's what happened in episode 4. The twist was all 3 tribes would compete for immunity. Only one tribe would win immunity. The Tavua tribe won. The other 2 tribes would go to tribal council. Not separate, but together. And they would vote out one person. Oh my god. The way this turned out. Jesus H. Christ. It was so unfair. Malcolm got royally screwed. And yeah, like, oh my god. The tribal council was entertaining to watch. You had people whispering into each other's ears. I enjoy the whispering at tribal. I know that's not a very popular take, but I enjoy it. So it was a fun tribal. People played, like, Ty played his immunity idol. He found it that day at the beach and used it on Sierra Dawn Thomas, who the Nuku tribe was targeting. JT told Brad that they wanted to vote Sierra out. He was, like, again, he was trying to get Sandra out at that point. Like, he was trying to get Sandra out. He thought he could trust Brad Culpepper. Unfortunately, turns out he couldn't, and it royally screwed over Malcolm and JT in the process because Like, immediately, the Nugu tribe thought JT had set him up. So, yeah, I feel so bad for Malcolm. He got just, like, he was not going home. Like, there was no shot he was going home if it was just the Nugu tribe at one tribal council. Like, there's absolutely no shot he was going home. Like, I think Sandra would have gone home, personally. I think JT and Aubrey, they would have had Malcolm, and they would have voted off Sandra. That's what I think would have happened, but no. I mean, of course, the tribes are going to vote along tribal lines every time, unless there's like an expendable player from one of the tribes. But neither of these tribes had an expendable player. It worked better in a later season, which we'll get to when we talk about that season. But, yeah, like, they were entirely expendable. Or, like, there was no expendable member of the tribe. That's what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, it ended up being, got Malcolm out early, a fan favorite. You never like it when something like that happens. And then JT, I already talked about him not bringing his idol to tribal, even though he was clearly on the outs of his tribe. I mean, I don't know what the dude was expecting, but yeah. Let's talk about Jeff Varner for a moment. Okay, so basically what happened was Sandra had just been voted out, right? So first time Sandra ever gets voted out at any tribal council in any of the games she plays. Jeff Varner was the one person on Sandra's side, and he was so desperate to stay in the game at this point that he called out Zeke at Tribal Council for being transgender, or for not telling anyone that he was transgender. That made me so uncomfortable. I was like, oh my god, what is happening here? Can we just, get this off my screen? It was so uncomfortable to watch. His tribe mates just ripped into him for it, and rightfully so. Like, poor Zeke's just standing there silent. I mean, yeah, Jeff said he did regret it, but doesn't really excuse him for doing it. They voted him out unanimously without even going to the voting booth. Like, they just decided to verbally vote him out. Ugh, that whole thing was just so uncomfortable. It's one of the most controversial moments in Survivor, and it's easy to see why. Just, ugh. Get that nonsense out of here. Let's see. Okay, so you have a couple other moments. You have Michaela sitting on the sit-out bench, not getting to enjoy a reward, sitting right over an advantage. Sarah spots it. Michaela never does. Sarah's like, how do you miss this? There's that moment. And then there's the whole moment where Sari finishes a challenge. Like, okay, it's her fourth time playing. Why does it matter now? I mean, I guess it was a decent moment where Sari finished a challenge, even though her tribe had already lost. But, yeah, I guess there was that. It was kind of uplifting, I guess. All the other vote outs and blindsides were pretty predictable. Pretty much up until the final episode. Like, we kind of knew Michaela was going to go home. We kind of knew when Andrew was going to go home. Sierra, blindside was predictable. Zeke was predictable. Debbie, Ozzy, like, they were all just predictable votes. And then you have the final six, probably the biggest game-changing moment of the season, where, okay, so here's what happens. It's final six, right? Brad Culpepper has immunity, so he's not going anywhere. And then, not one, not two, not three, but 4 people jump on the immunity idol train here. 4 people. Or it was 3 idols and 1 legacy advantage. So Sarah had the legacy advantage at this point. Sierra Don Thomas willed it to her. So, yeah. Sarah plays her legacy advantage. Now she's immune, so that's 1. And then Ty plays an idol on Aubrey. So that's now 2 people. He also plays an idol on himself. So 3 people are now immune. Troyzan, who had found his idol way earlier in the season, he then plays his idol. 4 people are immune. Brad has immunity, which means Sari, the only person who did not have an immunity idol, immunity or a legacy advantage or anything like that, goes home by default. And the worst part about this is, she did not have a single vote cast for her at that tribal. She did not have a single vote cast for her, which was kind of surprising considering she seriously misplayed a steal a vote advantage earlier in the like a couple rounds earlier in the game, where Sarah gave Suri her steal a vote advantage. Suri thought she could play it, didn't see that the advantage was non-transferable, and then yeah, we would go from there. Yeah, Sarah decided to play it, but yeah, like I mean, still like. 3 people voted for Sarah at that tribal. 2 voted for Ty, 1 voted for Aubrey. So Sarah would have gone home that night, and it probably would have changed the whole outcome of the season. Sari probably wins if she gets through this tribal. Honestly, like she probably wins the game. Unfortunately, she just gets royally screwed by an overabundance of advantages. Like, why are there so many damn immunity idols? This season proved that there are too damn many. Also, I forgot to mention earlier a couple of other twists. One of the worst merge twists I think I've ever seen, where at the merge, 2 people had to sit out of the merge feast in order so that everyone else could enjoy it. If 2 people wouldn't sit out, then everyone gets like 1 cheese and cracker, I think, or something stupid like that. That was a stupid twist. I don't know why Jeff Probst thought that was a good idea, or the producers thought that was a good idea. That was a stupid twist that never should have been implemented. Ty and Brad, I think, were the 2 people that sat out. Felt so bad for them because they couldn't enjoy the merge feast with everyone else. They couldn't enjoy the celebration, the traditional celebration of making the merge. So, like, what the hell is that all about? And then there's also the moment where it was at the tribal swap in the pre-merge where Debbie does not get on a tribe. Like, they're going from 3 tribes back to 2 tribes at this point. There's an odd number of people, so Debbie, instead of being put on a tribe, she gets to go to quote-unquote Exile Island. Yeah, BS. It was not Exile Island. It was this luxurious yacht or sailboat or whatever it was. Like, she sits on this luxurious yacht, and she feasts on a meal, and then John Cochran, winner of Survivor Caramoan and cast member on Survivor South Pacific. John Cochran, like, he comes up and he boards this boat with Debbie, like, gives her a few pointers, I guess you can say, about the game, and then gives her an advantage. Like, either you can make a fake idol, there's like I think steal a reward was one of them, and then extra vote. Debbie takes the extra vote. So, yeah, like, just give Debbie an extra advantage and a lot of food for no reason. That was dumb. That whole thing was so awkward as well. Like, Debbie and Cochran are, like, the most awkward couple, like, that you could think of, I think. It's just so awkward, so uncomfortable to watch. So, yeah, that's all the main moments of Game Changers. And then the editing. The editing was so bad this season. Like, the Tavua tribe hardly got any screen time because they kept winning challenges. And then, like, we knew Sarah was going to win from the merge on. We just knew she was going to win. She was always playing the swing vote, playing in the middle the whole time. We knew, like, she was the one finding advantages. We knew where this was going. She was going to win from, like, 10 episodes out or something like that. We just knew she was going to win. So, yeah, her win was predictable. Brad misplayed it toward the end. He probably could have won, but he misplayed it toward the end. He should have gotten Sarah out, but didn't. So, yeah, there's Survivor Game Changers for you. Such a game-changing season, but for all the wrong reasons. So, yeah, like, I was very unhappy with how the season turned out. I did not enjoy this season at all. With that being said, I'm going to give Survivor Game Changers a 2 out of 10. Alright, there's my review of Survivor Game Changers. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed it. Yeah, let me know. Did you like it? Did you hate this season? Are you neutral on it? Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for more content to come in the future. Next week, we're going on to season 35. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, like this season, I just was not a fan of it. I'm sorry to say. Not a fan of it. I don't know if I would put this in the Rant category, but it's pretty close. It's definitely one of the worst seasons out there. So yeah, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more content to come in the future. And until that next video, once again, my name is the California Cougar. And always remember, stay California cool. Peace.